All right, today we're looking at angle, side, angle, angle side, and hypotenuse leg. Now, these two are the most common mistakes that I'm going to see. Because you might say, hey, there's two angles in a side, but it's all about the order. All right, so we are going to use highlighters if you want to take one out. So let's go straight on to the first proof. On our first proof, how many givens did I give you? Two. Should you at least write the given on the test? Yes. If you miss a question because you're writing IDK, that's the saddest thing. So we have angle D is congruent to angle C. That is by the given. And yes, do notate. Here's D and here's C. And we're going to write out A as an angle. And then I have DB is congruent to CB. Let's write that second given. And then we want to also notate. Here's DB and CB. And what am I going to write next to it? It is a side. All right. So we know there's one known information that is always true. What is always congruent to when given a specific figure in this case? What is this called? Vertical angle. Do I have a vertical angle? Yes. So we know vertical angles are always congruent to. And I'm going to write angle right there as well. So let's write out, for angle B, there's multiple angles represented by that, so you have to name it with three letters. So in this case, if I go from A, B, D, how would I order the next one to be consistent? A to B to D must be E to B, EBC, correct. Very good. And that is, the reasoning is vertical angles are congruent too. That's an angle, by the way. So now let's get our highlighter. It doesn't matter which triangle you're looking at, but go ahead and highlight them consecutively, closest, tightly knit together. And when I do, that's going to force this to be angle, side, angle. So we have triangle ABD is congruent to triangle EBC by angle, side, angle. Congruence. And we'll look at the next page and see what angle side looks like. So what was the only part that had to come from your brain? Step 3. All right, so at least write out the given, the final goal, because that's more like a freebie for you guys. On the next page, let's look and see what angle side looks like. It's at the very top. Let's start notating. I have a side, write S. I have an angle with one swing mark. Do I have another angle? You got the double swing mark? All right. So let's see how we can actually go around. And I'm going to give you the rule. Put a star on this one. You can only, write this out, jump one item. You can only jump one item. So here I go. Y'all see this angle right here? When I go to my second angle, do you notice that I'm jumping a side? I can only jump one item. I'm allowed to. Then I have angle, side. Here's what I am not allowed to do. I need all eyes on the board and do not highlight this piece. If you go from angle, side, angle, from this angle to my side, notice I'm jumping a side and I'm also jumping another angle. That's 2 items. So at most, you can jump one item, and that's where the angle side is going to come into play. Okay? So, given that, let's go on to our second proof. How many givens do I have again? 2. So let's write out angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 by the given, freebie. Let's notate it. Here's angle 1, here's angle 2, and I'm going to write out A as in the angle. And I have my second given that says angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. That is also by the given, freebie again. Let's notate. Here's angle 3, and I'm putting 2 tick marks. You can put the 2 swing marks if you want, but I like the tick marks better. That's just my preference. All right. Now, we talked about this part last week. Do I have a shared side between the 2 triangles? Which side is being shared? RM. Let's write out RM is congruent to RM. And what property was that? Reflexive. If you look at yourself in the mirror, it is you. So RM is itself. reflexive property of congruence. Let's also notate and write out S. And again, at most, I can skip how many items? One. Now, doesn't matter which one you look at. I'm going to stick with this one right here. Here's an angle, angle, side. Again, if you go from angle, side, angle, it's going to skip an angle and a side, and you're not allowed to skip two things. And our final goal, triangle RMA, is congruent to triangle MRG. What property was this one? Congruence? Angle, angle, side congruence. Could I say side angle, angle? Yeah, you can. If you completely reverse it, nothing wrong with it, okay? Maybe you go from right to left and I'll go from left to right, but in the end, the order, as long as it's completely reversed, it is allowed. So I want to look at the very last page. On the last page, it's going to ask you to determine if the two triangles are congruent to. And just to give you a heads up, there will be two with no conclusions. Two no conclusions. Hopefully you're studying this before the quiz and test. So I'm going to model the first one. I might actually model 3 of them. All right, look at the first one. Can we start notating side and angle? Here's a side that is identical. Do I have another side? Right here. What else can I notate? The angle. And with your highlighter, go ahead and highlight them as tightly as possible consecutively. And the way you order the triangle really doesn't matter initially, but whatever you have listed initially has to be consistent on the second one. So in this case, if I go from B, C to A, I need to go from E, D to F. E, D, F, and that is by side angle side congruence. And I want you to save number 7 and number 8. And let's do number 2 to 6 with the partner. Go, partner up. Say hi, neighbor.
Yeah, actually, it's
V-A-E-R. A-R-E. M-O-P.
Oh, no, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, no, if you flip around. I was reading it in the,
No, it's AER.
no, it's not, A-E-R. It's A-E-R. M-O-P.
No, I said AER.
Yeah, bro, you literally said
You are not him.
Frank, you're not him, buddy.
Anderson, you make clear TikTok.
Another clean.
Oh! I want to go cry now.
TAC.
Bro, Evan
Yeah, TAC.
Hannah Gordon. So, angle.
Try.
So they get to stack it.
DOG is ABC. No, it's
Okay, one more minute.
Well, what's the first one?
Oh,
Just asking, bro.
All right, let's write out something on the side, everybody. There's 5 ways to prove triangles are congruent to, so let's list them. There's side, side, side that we talked about last week. There's also what? Side, angle, side, also from last week. What else do we have? What did we talk about today? Angle, side, angle. And then we also did angle, angle, side, because the order does matter. And then the one that we didn't really talk about that I'm going to touch base on today is hypotenuse leg. Okay? We'll go over this one on the bottom somewhere. The way it does not work. Angle, angle, angle does not work.
Gonna be angle, angle. I mean, slide angle.
Side, side angle does not work. So way to remember, listen carefully so I can give you the info. Triple A, and then the bad word, the other way around, does not work. Okay? So if you end up spelling out SSA, just go, oops, it's not going to work. All right? I am going to prove one of them, though. Any idea as to why angle, angle, angle does not work?
You know what I'm saying.
Imagine an equilateral triangle, small equilateral triangle. Aren't all the angles congruent to? If I give you a large equilateral triangle, are the angles still congruent to? They're all 60. So I know they're similar, but they're not congruent to. Okay? That I can prove to you. So then let's kind of go over these. And I'm going to say this verbally, so make sure you're listening. Second one was by side, side, side. Yes? Okay? The next one was by side, angle, side. Yes? The fourth one, does it spell out the bad word? Side, side, angle? Does not work. This is no conclusion. What else spells out the not so nice word? Oh, don't say the word. Number 5, isn't that angle, side, side? Remember, I'm in recording. I don't want to get cussed out today, right? And then on number 6, don't we have reflexive property? So this one is side, angle, side. So 4 and 5 does not work, but 6 does work because side, angle, side. Now let's talk about number 8. Number 8 is a little awkward because it's got parallel lines. So what I want you to do is the following. Let's notate what I know so far. We have a side. And then do we also have another side that's been shared between the 2 triangles? Yep. So I'm going to take 2 highlighters. One for parallel lines, another one for the transversal. So listen carefully as to why this works. If 2 lines are parallel, then we know alternate interior angles are congruent. So therefore, we have an angle and an angle. This will be by side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. For number 7, do we see reflexive property right here as well? Okay, let's kind of think about it. Let's assume we don't know anything about hypotenuse leg. If I were to spell this out, it's going to spell out SSA, correct? But because it is a right triangle, do I have an hypotenuse that are congruent to each other? Do I have a leg that is congruent to each other? So only in a right triangle. I want you to give me 3 bullet points. If I give you a right triangle, and you notice that the hypotenuse of the 2 triangles are congruent, and one of the legs are congruent to, it's going to be hypotenuse leg. Congruence.